What's up, guys? It's John with National Sports Entertainment, and I wanted to go into the only game that I honestly feel like is a lock this week. This has to be, and we'll do a quick recap as we always do, but goodness, this has to be one of the most difficult weeks. I'm going to go into it in a second. So, yeah, tonight, if there's one thing you learned, it's if I recommend a prop, do the opposite. I don't know what it is. I try and use like real logic and wrestling logic, and man, the props I do just wind up being pretty awful. In this case, we had Baker Mayfield going over on yards, over on touchdowns, Godwin doing good, and as you can see, pretty weak stats. Just his worst game of the season. The other day, I had Henry getting over on yards, over on touchdowns. I actually think he finished with negative yards, so yeah, maybe just whatever I say on props, do the opposite. Now that my props are always just suggestions, but we did play the Bucks to win and cover. I played both. They didn't, obviously, but that's all right. There's a reason I played the win as a leg one. I knew it wasn't 100%, but I had a couple ideas. And we missed the Rams, too. They were sneaky with that one. I'm never one to make excuses, but just more little evidence that it's rigged for people. They call Burrow at the last minute. They let him, they say he's playing. And it's exactly a 3-point game. So even people that picked the Bengals, usually most of them pushed. But we played the money line, so we missed anyway, which is all right. After I picked it, it was brought to my attention. It was Yom Kippur's going on, which has the sacrifice of the ram, things like that. It's already well into the game when I realized that someone had commented it, but kudos to that person. I'm sorry I don't remember the name, but I think it was Moonshot something. But just a really good observation in my opinion, and the Bengals were wearing all white, which is for Yom Kippur. So if I had known that, obviously, I should have researched it better. I just didn't think to look into Yom Kippur, to be quite honest. Or is it Yom Kippur? I don't even know. But either way, so we missed both of them. But the reason I wanted to do this now is because, just like the Bengals, I have a feeling we're going to get some line movements. And I'm not going to lie, it seems like the 3-point and the 4-point has changed. So, like, they're making it where... One second. They're making it where it seems like a lot of games where it's like a 2-point game, people are assuming it's under the 3. It's not covering. And then a lot of games where it's Buffalo 2.5. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a 2-point game. And I think they're doing that on purpose. People see the 2.5 and they want to take it. Cleveland. You can just see there's a good bit of 2.5, and I think it's on purpose. So anyway, the game that I like, the only one that I think is a foregone conclusion here is the Jaguars. If you look down the schedule, it's pretty rigorous. We're playing on a palindrome day, obviously. This is a team that is they're lobbying to have a stadium in Wembley where they will be playing. It's a London game. And you can see they're 3-point favorites. And the fact that it's 43.5, I don't like. It makes me think Vegas is thinking something like 24-21. But Lawrence has yet to have an establishing game. Here's a guy that, in my opinion, they're trying to push as a star, a top 3 quarterback, if not top 5. And the Jaguars, I don't think that they're all hype. It just doesn't make sense to me. The Falcons, they could lose this game, in my opinion, and both teams would have a palindrome, 2-2, 2-2, to fit the 101 palindrome. And 101 times 2 is 202, or 11. If you look at the 2 ones there, you times it by 2, you get 2-2. So, all very interesting, lining up with the Jags, and honestly, I just like them because of the narrative. I can't imagine with them lobbying to be in London. The owner is the owner of AEW. Very good connections between him and a lot of the military in London, the political figures. You should see some of the trips he's taken over there and some of the dinners he's had. So a lot of power there. I just can't imagine they're not going to give the fans what they want. You could think, well, maybe people are going to pound the Jags, especially fans in London, things of that nature. I don't think so, and they can make up for it in live action. If anything, I don't think they want to have a bunch of fans putting money on their team that might be going there and then have them get pummeled. Might be leave a sour taste in their mouth. So I think the Jags are going to do good in their London games until they officially get a stadium there. Typically, when they do these types of games, they did it last year with the Cardinals and Niners. They had another one with the Giants in London where Daniel Jones came back, and he's a favorite in London. They like the Giants, not really Daniel Jones. But there's certain teams that they like, and the Jags are obviously like their favorite team, especially because they're going to be having a stadium there. So of all the games, this one I really like. The rest are really, really close. The Dion fade is really the only thing that I know for sure. And this happens to be one of those games. So yeah, I think the Jags win, go to 2-2. And I'd love to say by a half point, but then it could be a 2-point game anyway. I'm just going to ride it -3. If it pushes, it pushes. If it's a really close game, that's fine. I think they have the Jags probably have their best game of the season. And I think they'll win by more than 3. This could move to 3.5, and even buying it from 3 to 2.5 is -135. So they're juicing hard. So it might move to 3.5, 4, and then they clip people. So I would get in as early as you can. I don't see it moving to 2.5 for any reason. So my pick here is Jags -3. It will also be in my fade Dion parlay, and we'll play it right here. The Bucs did not beat the Eagles. So we're just going to do Jags cover Falcons leg 3. And I don't think it's a coincidence. We've been doing very good on leg 3s this year, this football season. It is because I try and save, obviously, the best plays. So instead of rushing one out tomorrow or the first college game, I thought I would just pick my favorite play here, and in order, we're going to close leg 3s that way. So, again, we're not going to close every single one of them, but I do believe that we're going to get this one. The cover, obviously, we might get clipped. If you want to do the money line, you can, but for this system, for a leg 3, I don't think you want to pay 130, 140 for the 100, but that's completely up to you. Or you could put it in a parlay with some guarantee, something like that. But I personally am playing this. I try and make it as simplified as possible, and I think the Jags are going to win a pretty decisive game here. So I was going to wait on this, but again, with a game like this, I do feel it's important to get it out because the Chiefs moved 2 points in a matter of minutes just because of Burrow being called in, and it's an earlier game, so it'll be, I think, it's going to be 9:30 here, I think, or it might even be 9:30 in London, so earlier here. But either way, I could definitely see it moving to 3.5. But hopefully if you can get it locked in before then, that'll be nice. And if it does move to 3.5, I would suggest buying the half, but I would still play Jags -3.5 way before I would play Titans or Falcons +3.5. I'm very bullish on the Jags this year, as I am the Lions. The Lions, let me just show you guys something. To me, this is a crazy schedule. Lions, Packers, Falcons, Jags, Dolphins, Bills, Broncos, Bears, Ravens, Browns, Steelers, Texans, Vikings, Panthers. Like, none of these games are appealing at all. Obviously, I'll be fading Dion's teams. I actually think the Patriots has good value to take them on the money line. And I think it's a great story if the Cardinals were to knock off the 2 best teams in the NFC, maybe the NFL, back-to-back, and they're the worst team. Especially with everybody talking about them selling for Caleb, who plays in California, who, obviously, they're saying is going to go first. It'd be pretty ironic and it was a Dion team, obviously, and they're talking about anything college is going to be Dion. It'd be pretty interesting if the team, quote, tanking for Caleb, beat the Niners. I think that'd be pretty interesting. So I'm not saying it's a guarantee I'll go into all these games, but I wanted to cover what I thought was just, again, if I'm looking at all these games, like in my Survivor League, I'm taking this game. And you might say, why aren't you taking the Niners or something like an easier one? I genuinely believe the fade Dion parlay might hold again. So I like the Jags in this game. So you can let me know what you think. I think luckily the public is looking at Robinson, looking at an underwhelming Jags team, and they're probably not going to hammer the Jags too hard. Let's not pretend that they did anything last year. I'm basically going off of where Vegas was at the beginning of the year. I don't see them starting 1-3, so I'll take my odds with the cover. So let me know if you think, the Falcons have a shot, or there's some other games that you thought might be more appealing. To me, it's going to be just a rough week to pick. I'll be happy if we go 50%. I think we'll still do well because of the system. Like I said, we're up a good bit of units with being about 50%. But I think this one's going to be a nice one. So obviously I'll cover the Lions and Packers before Thursday, probably tomorrow. But I really wanted to get this out in case it moves to 3.5. If you can get it at 3, obviously it would be great. Doesn't mean it won't be a 1 or 2 point game. They've been doing a lot of that this year. But I think the Jags are going to win decisively, so I'm not too worried about it. So take care, everybody, and happy earnings.